You were on that list. What did it mean to you when you learned about it? And tell us.
Well, first, I'll answer your question, Chris, but let me start by giving you a little hope. The man on your left on your screen, I love, Mike Lawler. I served with him in Congress. He and I were leaders of the Problem Solvers Caucus. And he is the type of guy that if he were in the White House right now, I know he would be acting quite differently, and the tone and tenor of politics would be remarkably different. Whether the Republican Party would elevate a Mike Lawler, I'm not sure. Whether the Democratic Party would ever elevate someone like me, I don't think so either. But I got to tell you, we have relationships. John Hoffman and Melissa Hortman were bipartisan, thoughtful, reasonable, common sense people, the best and the brightest. And I consider Mike Lawler to be among them as well. But Chris, when you ask about the question, what did it feel like? The sad truth is, and I know Mike can relate, is we're subject to this crap all the time. When I ran for president, the most expensive line item in my budget was for security. But this is not about me. I'm thinking about Colin, and I'm thinking about Colin and Sophie Hortman, who've lost their parents. I'm thinking about Hope Hoffman, a wonderful young woman whose parents suffered, 17 gunshot wounds. This isn't about me. I'm used to it. But I'm thinking about my kids right now, and I'm thinking about all the people in our country, Chris, who aspire to help this country, who aspire to serve, who are now thinking twice about it because of creeps like the one that perpetuated these terrible crimes. And I'm thinking of them today, but I'm also optimistic, and I think it's time that people like Mike Lawler and me and others who know better start rising, and I just hope people start paying attention.
Look, I'll tell you something, Mike. Mike and I have talked about this on the show. We've talked about it off the show. I get the effectiveness of saying extreme things about the other side and how it whips people up and makes them scared, and that is powerful medicine in politics until it becomes a poison that's worse than whatever you're trying to treat. And I'm not blaming the right for this guy. That is meaningless. It doesn't matter. It could have just as easily been the left. But I do blame the dynamic between the two sides for making it okay to be extreme.
No question. Chris, let me start by saying I appreciate you having this conversation and very much appreciate sharing the screen with Dean. As he said, we are good friends and really tried to work together during my first term in Congress last year. He's certainly somebody who has been a leader on trying to bridge the divides within our Congress and our country, and I appreciate very much his leadership to that effect. I think you hit the nail on the head, though. The thing that most people were interested in was what was the shooter's party affiliation? What was his ideology? And that is, frankly, at the core of what is wrong here, because each side wants to use it as a political bludgeon against the other, as opposed to recognizing that this is a crisis that is infecting our politics, it's infecting our government, it's infecting our society. I can't tell you how frustrating it is as an elected official when you're trying to deal with serious issues, even if we disagree on an issue, but to try and find compromise, to try and find common ground. And the vitriol, the coarseness of our language, and all of us are guilty of it. There's no question about that. But this has gotten so out of control. And I can tell you, just in this Congress, the amount of death threats that have been leveled my way and that of many of my colleagues, the concerns that I have for the safety of my staff and my family have increased dramatically from when I first ran for office just a few years ago. And part of that is just obviously this political moment that we're in, and there's a lot of blame to be cast around. But if we don't get a hold of this as a country, both parties working to root out the extremism within, we're screwed. And I'll just make this one point. Part of this has to do with the fact that in the last election, only 35 of 435 congressional seats were decided by 5 points or less.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.